Hello again to all my food warriors. Welcome back to the channel. Very special episode of Cooking with Coach Joe this morning. And yes, it is morning. We know it's morning because Cookie Monster pajama pants are in full display. We've got something very, very special for breakfast this morning. This is Panettone French toast. Now, for those of you who have never heard of Panettone before, it's a very, very traditional Italian recipe. It's a bread of sorts, a sweetened bread, eggs in the recipe, similar to a French brioche. And there are very, very numerous varieties of panettone out there. Typically, you find them more specifically around the holidays, Easter time, Christmas time. Italians give these things out like nothing. Merry Christmas, have a panettone. Happy Easter, have a panettone. You're having a baby, have a panettone. It's Wednesday, hey, have a panettone. So this is one that we had kicking around. There's numerous different varieties of these things. You can get them coated with chocolate. The number of different varieties have cream fillings, where cream's been injected into the panettone itself. Some of them are chocolate. You've got hazelnut, you've got pistachio, lemon, vanilla, all different varieties. The classic panettone typically has candied fruit throughout the recipe. This is just a very simple, what they call pandoro. Pandoro just means a golden bread. So as you see when we cut into this, the inside, because of the eggs, is a golden color. And so this is what we're going to use to make our French toast today. And this is absolutely a great way to use up all those panettones that typically get handed out over the holidays. It's just past Easter here, so you know what? We had one of these puppies kicking around, and we are going to use this to make a fantastic breakfast recipe. This is equally good for breakfast as it is for dessert. Sometimes these come wrapped in cellophane, sometimes they come wrapped in cardboard boxes. If you are going to use one for this application, I would strongly recommend just the regular pandoro. Typically, the creams and the candied fruit and any of the other stuff that you find inside will burn in this application. So what we want is just the regular panettone, just the smell of vanilla as you take this out of the packaging. Oh, just really, really intense. So you'll see this is, it's essentially a molded bread. It's slightly sweetened. It's similar to the Jewish challah or the French brioche. It's very, very porous. So something we need to keep in mind when we're soaking it into our egg mixture before we put it in our pan, it soaks up a lot of liquid. So we have to be very, very quick in terms of how we process that. So we're going to start this off. You see it's fully brown. It's got a crust that's not too hard, but we do want to just take some of this crust off because we want to see the inside and have a really interesting uniform shape as we make our panettone French toast. So we're just going to cut this with a bread knife. It's a very, very soft bread. So you see this is the golden color reminiscent of the pandoro. And you see this beautiful shape, almost a star pattern. What we're going to do today is we're 4 in the house, so we're going to make 4 portions. We're going to I'll cut my first one here, probably about 1 inch thick. And we'll just cut this uniformly all the way across. So I'll just put this here for a second. I'll just make the first one, and then once we're done, I'll make the other 3. So look at this shape. This is a really, it's very light considering the size, but it's very porous. This will absorb a lot of liquid, so we want to be very careful when we're making our panettone French toast. But just a beautiful design. So we're going to work with that design and actually use that to our advantage. So what we're going to do to start, we're going to get our egg mixture. I've got 4 large eggs here. We're just going to start by cracking those into a pie dish. And you'll notice I'm cracking those on my countertop. I never want to crack those against the side of a dish. What happens is it pushes the shell into the egg and it introduces bacteria into the egg. So what I want to do is just crack it on a flat surface, and that way I can just work my fingers in there and open up the egg. There we are. My hands are well washed and impeccably clean as always. There we are. And there are 4 eggs. So I'm just going to give my hands a quick wash. Alexa, stop looking at my pants. All right, quick wash. So now what we're going to do to those eggs, we are going to add about a cup of milk just to loosen up that mixture. There we are. And then to that as well, we're going to add, this is 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon and 4 teaspoons of just regular white granulated sugar. So we're going to add this to our mixture here. just to sweeten it up a little bit. And that's cinnamon, classic French toast flavor. So what we want to do now is just poke our yolks and give this a little bit of a beat and a bit of a mix so that everything combines. The panettone itself is not terribly sweet, and so having a little bit of sugar here in the in our egg mixture, it's going to sweeten it up a little bit, but it's also going to allow having that sugar is going to allow the finished product to caramelize in the pan a little bit better. So we're just going to make sure we mix this up so that it's relatively uniform here. And then what we've got beside it are just some rolled oats. So just because this is breakfast, and yes, it's a little bit fancy, it doesn't mean we can't make this a little bit healthy as well. And the beauty of rolled oats, these are just regular rolled oats, not flavored, not seasoned with anything else. This gives it a nice crunch on the outside, but it also brings a fair bit of nutrition to the table as well. So doesn't mean that just because it's breakfast or it's dessert, it can't be a little bit healthy at the same time. And the beauty of this dish is it doesn't taste healthy. That's the beauty. We're getting nutrition into the dish, but it still tastes decadent. It still tastes a little bit naughty. So what we're gonna do, get everything mixed up. All right, now we want to be quick with this. I'm just gonna get our pan on the heat here. I'm gonna get a little bit of butter in our pan. This is just a regular non-stick pan. There we are. Just got a little knob of butter in there. And we'll let this melt. Now, as soon as this pan is ready to go, we want to be ready to go with our French toast. So we're going to wait until our butter is melted. We're just going to give that a few seconds. And like I said, we want to be very careful when we dip this into our mixture. We literally want to leave it in there no more than a second. Dab it in, take it out, flip to the other side, and then we're going to go right into our oats. There we are. A little sip of coffee here. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. So we'll just work this around the pan. There we are. There we are. Yeah. I know it's off. There we are. So we will just let that go for another couple of seconds. Now, we've got our slice of panettone. We will just give that one quick dip, pick it up, over to the other side, one quick dip, and that's it. And you'll notice this is probably twice as heavy as when we started. So we're going to give this a little bit of time in our oats here. We want our oats to stick to the outside of our slice. It gives a great presentation. There we are. And a lot of nutrition. So we'll just take this and we'll put this right in the middle of our pan. And now, don't touch it. Let it go. What we want to do is we want to give this a good, I'd say 3 to 4 minutes on each side over medium heat. We don't want to cook this over too high heat because the oats will burn. So what we want to do is just give this a beautiful golden brown color. And I will see you in about 8 minutes once I've given this some time on each side. All right, we are back. Now, for the observant among you, you will notice that this is not the same slice that we put in the beginning. And I'll tell you exactly why. That's the danger of making panettone French toast. One of the side effects is once the smell gets into the air of the cinnamon and the butter and everything beautiful in the pan cooking, what tends to happen is all the heathens and the vagabonds start coming out of the woodwork. And literally, these things were going as fast as I could make them. Now, if you are going to make these for a crowd, and usually what I do when everyone's sitting around the table all at the same time, you get yourself one of these sheet pans, you get yourself one of these racks, and you put the wire racks in the sheet pan, and then once they're done, you can put them here, put them in a low oven, 175, maybe 200 degrees, just to keep warm so that when everyone's around the table, everyone can eat. In this case, they were flying out of the pan and onto the plates as quickly as I can make them. This is mine, so you know what? We're gonna do our final taste test here. So this one is done. We're just going to scoop this guy right out of the pan. There we are, right onto the plate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop all of these beautifully toasted oats right on here as well. There we are. No need for any of those to go to waste. Now, in terms of toppings and garnishes, you can easily put a little bit of powdered sugar on this. Some fresh fruit would be great. Berries, peaches, mangoes, absolutely fantastic. You can drizzle a little bit of Nutella on there, maybe some caramel sauce, a little bit of cinnamon, if this was more of a dessert application. Given that this is breakfast, I'm a purist. So in my view, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sprinkle literally maybe a half a teaspoon at most of that cinnamon sugar that I have left over, just a dusting, just to bring more of that cinnamon forward. And then what I have here, this is real maple syrup. And what I've done is, because this is hot coming out of the pan, we don't want to take cold maple syrup and put it on there. Put this in the microwave for about 35-40 seconds, heated it up, and I'm telling you, warm maple syrup on our beautiful Panettone French toast. Now this, this is how we do it. I'm gonna go in for a little taste test. The smell of this is just absolutely unreal. I'm gonna cut off one of these arms here. Crispy on the outside, beautifully fluffy on the inside. Oh, that's hot. Beautifully crunchy on the outside. The contrast of textures. Crunchy on the outside with those oats that have just crisped up beautifully. Still moist, still fluffy, still creamy on the inside. Not overly sweet, because the panettone itself is not very sweet. And we put very little sugar in here outside of just the maple syrup. But that combination of textures, flavors, this is how you start the day. Anytime you have one of those leftover panettones, by all means, feel free to think creatively. This is one way that we use it to feed the family. It's always a treat and always something that's a favorite around our table. If you haven't yet, do like and subscribe. Do share the channel. If you're getting any use from this at all, by all means, do feel free to share it with your friends. And we will see you on the next one.